How are you? Are you open? You open? Would you breathe with me, please? Take it in and let it go. And again, and release. And one more time. So my talk title today is entitled Winks from the Universe. Winks from the Universe. I first heard that phrase a couple of weeks ago, and when somebody was talking about it and using it to talk about a coincidence. And as soon as I heard it, I knew that it would make a really great and fun talk. Because one of the things that we are taught as spiritual students, and we're taught this by our spiritual teachers, is to always be paying attention to coincidences in our lives, because instead of them being just random events that just happen to coincide with one another, what they actually are these winks from the universe that show us that we do indeed live in a friendly, synchronous, and supportive environment. It's kind of like the life force energy, God, spirit, the universe, whatever you want to call that, its nature is love, and every once in a while it kind of goes like this. I got you. I got you. I got your back. Here I am. You know what I'm talking about? But the challenge is that sometimes, that unless we are trained to see these winks for what they really are, we go through life thinking that it's random, thinking that it's chaotic. When in reality, there is great orderliness to life. And I'm talking about life with a capital L. And that orderliness, that life with a capital L, is here to support us. It is here to support us. I mean, just look at the way that our bodies work. They are complex, they are miraculous, but we don't have to tell our hearts to beat. We don't have to tell our lungs to breathe. We don't tell our organs how to digest food. We don't have to oversee ourselves to make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing it. They just do it in this totally orderly and automatic way. The other thing that makes me think about this when I think about orderliness in the universe is the seasons. You know me, I'm a nature lover, right? The seasons come and go without our having to do anything about it. They just happen. The planets and the stars move in their orbit. They don't crash into one another. They don't like, oops, I forgot, or anything like this. We live in an orderly universe, and part of that order is to support us in life. And in this human incarnation that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. In this human reincarnation or incarnation, we have this funny little thing called free will. So the universe can't and doesn't interfere overtly with our choices and our decisions and our thoughts. It's like Ernest Holmes said. Ernest Holmes is our founder. He said, the seed of freedom must be planted in the innermost being of man, but like the prodigal son, man must make the great discovery for himself. In other words, we are always at choice as to what we are going to think and do and create. And yet, when we understand that we are part of something greater, part of something far more powerful, we can learn to look for the winks that show us that we are being supported and we are being guided along the way. Is this making sense? Making sense to me. Okay. Because those winks, those little nudges, those little, I gotcha, they're everywhere. They are everywhere. I have to tell you one, just came to me just today. So the song that Amy just sang, she changed it. She was going to sing a different song today, and part of the lyrics were, it was in the beginning of the song, and the lyrics were something about praying for rain. I can't remember, the ice caps are melting, but we're praying for rain, whatever that is. 2 days ago, I heard a brand new song, I'd never heard it before, by Don Henley of the Eagles, that was called Praying for Rain. And he was like, you know, that's what we need to be doing because things are happening in the world and we need to be praying for rain. And I thought, I need to tell Amy about the song by Don Henley. And then 2 days later, she changes the song that she was going to do a song that talks about praying for rain. Can you say winks from the universe? Yes, absolutely. They are all around us when we have eyes to see and when we have the wisdom to pay attention. Here's another thing that Ernest Holmes said. Know that there is an intelligence to which we may come for inspiration, for guidance, for direction, a power responding to us, a presence pressing against us, an animation flowing through us, a light within us. Just take that in. And sometimes that presence shows up as a wink from the universe. So in order to fully understand today's topic, there are a few words that I want to define. You know me. I am such a geek. I love to look up definitions of words. I kind of like do it for fun. I used to go to the dictionary, now I go to the internet, so I'm cooler than you think. So the first word I've already used, and that word is coincidence. A striking occurrence of two or more events at one time, apparently by mere chance, or the occurrence of events that happen at the same time by accident, but seem to have some connection. So that's how we would define a coincidence, right? We've all experienced coincidences, absolutely. You think about somebody and then you run into them at the store. Somebody tells you about a book and then several other friends recommend it. And we think of them as being coincidences, two or more random things that just happen to come together. And yet, as we come to understand that we are living in this friendly, supportive, and orderly universe, then we start to see that they're not random happenstance, but they are synchronous events of things coming together. Which brings me to my second word I had fun looking up, and that is synchronous. The simultaneous occurrence of events that appear significantly related, but have no discernible causal connection. Have no discernible causal connection. That's the key to this definition. No discernible causal connection. Because again, as students of this spiritual science, we know that absolutely everything is connected, right? Everyone is connected. So even if we, with our limited view, with our limited senses, can't discern the connection of synchronous events, we can still know that there is a connection. For instance, the ancient Hindu mystics believed that everything and everyone in the universe was inextricably interconnected. And the way that they explained it was the concept, the metaphor of Indra's net. Have you heard of Indra's net? This is actually really cool. They say that Indra's net is like this infinite net that goes out into the reaches of the universe, kind of like a spider web. Okay? And each one of us is represented either by a bead or a drop of water in this particular metaphor. So each of us, where the two intersect, there's a little, like a little bead or a little droplet of water, and that represents us. So that when one strand of the net is pulled or moved, it affects the other strands, which in turn affects all of the beads, which affects the events, therefore it affects us. Is this making sense? Are you with me? Sean Randall wrote a book called Synchronicity in Your Life. If the net is multidimensional, The points where the strings of the net connect would be like intersecting points from which one could access the whole net. One tug pulls the whole net. One tug connects you to the whole net. Basically, this is how synchronicity works. In other words, just because we can't see the strands moving, causing an experience that might appear to be random or unrelated, doesn't mean that they are random and unrelated. It's just that we cannot see it because everything is connected at all times because we live in an interconnected, friendly, synchronous universe. If you get nothing else, you're going to get that today, okay? And I realize that events in the world these days may not necessarily support the idea of an interconnected, friendly, supportive, synchronous universe. Right now, definitely feels as if chaos and turmoil and disorder are the prevailing experiences. I myself have a hard time sometimes seeing order, seeing orderliness that's going on. And yet I do believe what I teach. Therefore, I believe absolutely that there is order in this universe, despite the appearances. And so what I know is that the chaos that we are witnessing is a process that old-time metaphysicians called chemicalization. Chemicalization. It's a reaction. And that means, in this instance, that the old way of being that no longer serves us in an awakening world, that no longer fits the world that we are in the process of creating, the old stuff is falling away. And in the process of falling away, it is fighting for its very life, making things very messy and very chaotic. And yet what I believe at the very depths of my being is that this new way of being, this new world that we are in the process of creating that is kinder, that is more loving, that is interested in the environment, is interested in taking care of people, is more global, is more inclusive, is more connected. This is the evolution of consciousness. This is happening. We are waking up to a new world, but the old way is not giving up without a fight. That's what's happening. So our job is to not get discouraged and to continue to know what we know and continue to practice what we practice and continue to live the way that we are living and trust that we are truly in partnership with the universe whose very being is all about expansion and growth and awareness and evolution. Joan Borsenko said this: if you take a single step toward positive change, that divine energy will take 100 steps toward you. New worlds and unbelievable possibilities will open up for you. The synchronicities that will begin appearing in your life will become a source of delight and amazement. Amen. 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 I gotta have my fan on. I got myself a little worked up there. So this brings me to my third word for today on winks from the universe, and that is serendipity. The occurrence and development of events by chance in a happy or beneficial way. An aptitude for making desirable discoveries by accident. Again, we've all experienced serendipity in one way or another. You're just going about life, and then something amazing happens when you're least expecting it. Yes? Yes. Yes, yes. That is the ultimate wink from the universe, as far as I'm concerned. It's a beautiful and very, very kind way of knowing that Spirit really is active in our lives and is really supporting us along the way. I had this amazingly serendipitous event recently that I've been waiting for weeks to tell you about, because it just wasn't working. Dwayne, I'm just going to say I need new lights here. I'm having a dickens of a time seeing this. Excuse me while I just have a conversation with my wonderful guy up there. He's not my guy, in my dreams, but anyway, okay. So do you want to hear about my serendipitous event? My goodness. Oh, hey, a third one might really be wonderful. See? See? So as I tell this story about, thank you, sweetheart. As I tell this story about serendipity, I'm going to invite you to think again about Indra's net. And this idea that we are all connected on this vast web, so that when one string is pulled, it affects all the other strings. So as many of you know, I have a dog named Annie. Many of you have met Annie. I adopted her earlier this year, and she is the light of my life most of the time. I say that because she's also a little naughty, and she's a bulldog, so she's a little stubborn, and she's feisty, not at all like me. The other thing you need to know about me for this story to make sense is that I am not an early riser. I've never been an early riser. It makes me very upset when I have to set an alarm and be an early riser. Leanne. She called a meeting for 8 o'clock on the Monday morning. And nobody was here to open the doors. And she says, I can't imagine anybody not being at work at 8 o'clock in the morning. And I was like, I can't imagine anybody being anyplace at 8 o'clock in the morning. So it's just not me, okay? So imagine my disgruntlement when something woke me up quite early, a month or so ago. And I could hear Annie stirring, so I thought, oh, what the heck, I may as well just go ahead and get up and take her out. Maybe I'll go back to bed afterwards. So if you were here last week, you all heard me tell a similar story. I really don't like waking up early, about waking up early and taking the dog out and seeing a wonderful sunrise and feeling grateful. But this is a different story, and this is even more serendipitous and has a much more touching result, at least in my opinion. So forgive me if this sounds similar to the other story. So Annie and I get up, and we go out this particular evening, and it's just starting to get light. And we're headed over to her favorite spot. And I saw a gal with her ancient chocolate lab named Moki. The lady's name was Lynn. And we chatted before because it's a field that's near my house. And so I stopped to say hi and to pet Moki. I said, oh, I remember this old guy. How old is he? She said he's 14. And then she went on to say, I thought I lost him last night. I think he had a stroke because he couldn't get up. He's a little bit better this morning, but I think I need to take him to have him put down because I don't want him to suffer. Well, she teared up, and I teared up, of course. And she told me more about their terrible night and how she was wrestling with the decision about whether or not to put him down because he seemed so much better. And as we stood there, I shared with her who I am, what I do. And I also said that I believe, my belief is that we take on that loving responsibility of making those decisions for our animals, that they rely on us to do what's right for them. And as we were talking, Moki's legs began to give out. And she said, I guess that's my answer, isn't it? I hugged her, and I told her where I lived, just in case she wanted to talk. And they made their way slowly down the street. And I don't mean to make you cry or make you sad, even though the story still gets me, but I wanted to tell you the story to illustrate what a beautiful gift of serendipity this was. Because you see, I was just right around my 19th anniversary as a minister. And I've been, as I do just about every year, I've been thinking about, I've been evaluating my ministry after all these years. Did it still have impact? Was it still making a difference? And with those questions roiling around in my mind, serendipity led me to get up early, to go outside, to meet with this woman on the morning after her beloved dog of 14 years had had a stroke. To be able to support her in the decision that perhaps it was time to put him down. And to hopefully give her a little bit of comfort, knowing that she was doing the right thing. And at the same time, serendipity provided me with a little wink from the universe that said, yes, my ministry still has an impact. And yes, it is still making a difference. So whether you call it a coincidence or synchronicity, serendipity, or a wink from the universe, support, guidance, and interconnectedness is always with us. It is always available. And the more we tune into it through our spiritual practice and through our paying attention and our increased awareness, the more of it we experience. So I'm going to give all of us a little bit of homework today. Here it is, the beginning of December, first Sunday in December. And I'm going to ask all of us, and the first thing I'm writing down is this thing about Amy's song. So I want us to pay attention this month about the winks and the blinks and the nods and the little nudges from the universe. How do they show up? Start paying attention to how they show up and write them down. Just when you go to bed at night, or if you carry something with you, just write it down. Amy sang a song about praying for rain, okay? And then bring it on December 31st. And we're going to do something with it, okay? Does that sound like a plan? Yeah. Okay, good, good. So I want to close with a quote from Deepak Chopra. And I think you'll understand why I chose this. According to Vedanta, there are only two symptoms of enlightenment, just two indications that a transformation is taking place within you toward a higher consciousness. The first symptom is that you stop worrying. Things don't bother you anymore. You become light-hearted and full of joy. The second symptom is that you encounter more and more meaningful coincidences in your life, more and more synchronicities. And this accelerates to the point where you actually experience the miraculous. I am so happy for this truth, and so it is. And so I'm going